Small improvements to your sales page can make the world of difference to your conversion rate. So let's say your current sales page converts at 2%. So 2 out of 100 website visitors to your sales page is buying your program. Say your program is priced at $1,000, that's $2,000 in sales. But using my suggestions today, if you went away and made those changes and increase your sales page conversion to say 5%, that's an extra $3,000 in sales that you'll be expecting to make. That's why it's so important to get fresh eyes on your sales page, because you may be spending a lot of time working on it and sometimes you're so immersed in it that you don't even see where the gaps are. Hi, I'm Charlene Oy, dietitian turned business and marketing coach, and you're listening to the Nutrition Business Show. I've been a dietitian for over a decade, generated millions online, and we've helped thousands of health professionals. So if you're looking for a smarter way to grow your nutrition practice and create online programs to scale your business more sustainably, then you're in the right place. So let's dive in. Hey there, welcome back to the Nutrition Business Show. Now, if you're a dietitian or a nutritionist selling an online course or program, then today's episode is for you. We're going to be talking about what a sales page is, the key elements that you need to include for it to convert and make you more sales, and some of the deadly mistakes that you want to be avoiding. Now, the matter of the fact is that your sales page plays a hugely critical role in helping you to sell any offer. You could have the most incredible program out there, have the most amount of experience, but if you don't nail these sales page elements, then you're going to struggle for your page to convert. A great sales page doesn't just list out what people are getting in your program. It needs to nail these 3 elements. First of all, it needs to speak directly to your ideal clients. Secondly, it needs to build trust. And thirdly, it needs to tackle any objections that your ideal clients may have and address it before it even comes up. And here's the thing, small improvements to your sales page can make the world of difference to your conversion rate. So let's say your current sales page converts at 2%. So 2 out of 100 website visitors to your sales page is buying your program. Say your program is priced at $1,000, that's $2,000 in sales. But using my suggestions today, if you went away and made those changes and increase your sales page conversion to say 5%, that's an extra $3,000 in sales that you'll be expecting to make. And if you accumulate those effects over time, that's going to make a huge difference to your revenue sales for your program. And that's why it's so important to get fresh eyes on your sales page, because you may be spending a lot of time working on it and sometimes you're so immersed in it that you don't even see where the gaps are. And when we make these refinements, it can make a big difference to the results. And I do these sales page audits for our clients all the time to make sure that their sales page, it's connecting with the ideal clients, it's tackling the objections, and that it's converting. And we look at the metrics as well. And that's when I thought, a couple of weeks ago, let's open up this opportunity to more people, and I put out a call out on Instagram for volunteers. And back, she's a fertility dietitian, and she put up her hand and said, can you audit my sales page? And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be diving into a full sales page audit for her Prep Your Body for Baby program and explaining to you the areas that needs improving so you can also adapt that to your own sales page. So without further ado, let's dive into today's sales page audit. So when it comes to sales pages, you've got 2 types. So you've got the short form sales page and the long form sales page. So as the name suggests, a short form sales page is pretty short. And it's useful for lower ticket offers. Because of its lower price, you don't really need to go into too much detail and try too hard to convince someone to buy from you. But on the flip side, if you have a higher ticket program, Especially if you're not planning to run a sales call, then you definitely want to have a longer form sales page. So inside the Momentum Club, we actually give our clients a very comprehensive sales page anatomy guide. It's got 14 sections. I know that it sounds a lot, but essentially what you're doing is we're breaking down the different parts of the sales page. It's a formula where we take the clients through on a journey, helping you to connect with them or for them to connect with what you're offering to help them feel safe and making the decision and providing them with all the information that they need to make it an easy yes to take that next step. So essentially what you're doing is you're conveying that information in a way that connects with them and helps them to make that decision without being too pushy. So right now, let's switch screens and look at Beck's sales page. All right, so we're looking at Beck's Prep Your Body for Baby program sales page. And the top section, the first section that we're going to look at is basically what we call the banner. So a banner is basically one that lives on top of the main sales page, and it's usually used for announcements. So in this situation, Beck's got the messaging that says join before March 24th to save $1,000. She's got this cute little text that pops out halfway and it slides out. Now, the problem with this, there's two parts with this, is first of all, it is quite small. So with these urgency messaging, you want it to really stick out and scream out to people that, hey, there is a deadline to make a decision. And the second issue with this is that it slides out, disappears for a long time, and then it will eventually pop back in. Although that's a really cute effect, but what will be really beneficial to make it obvious and clear is just to have it sit there. So have it there, big text, because it was quite small. It's kind of a little bit hard to read. Or second option is you could insert a countdown timer with the clock ticking, and that's usually more effective. You can have the text on top that says join before March 24th to save $1,000, sell ending in ... and then the countdown timer. And that's more effective because it's a visual reminder. It's creating an urgency for people that the clock is ticking. It creates urgency for them to take action. Now, when I'm switching screen and looking at the mobile view of her sales page, and here's a really important tip. Make sure that you look over your sales page multiple times on the mobile because most people are looking at content, they're checking out your sales page, they're browsing on their mobile majority of the time. So you want to make sure that your text is big, it's clear, and it's easy to read. So on the mobile view, Beck's that says join before March 24th, it's big, it's decent, all right? But like I said, it disappears and it takes a while to come back. So I think a countdown timer will be way more effective for you here back. So switching back to the desktop view, the second section is what we call the hero section. So the hero section, first of all, needs to start with a grabbing headline. So it grabs people's attention when they come in. That's the first thing that their eyes gravitate towards. So if you're looking at the desktop, you can see the statement here that says ready to optimize your fertility naturally. So that's what she specializes in, helping couples conceive naturally. You want that to be clear. You want it to be big and immediately grab their attention and speak to the benefits or the transformation that they can expect to see through your program. You don't want it to be a vague statement. And it definitely shouldn't be the name of the offer that you're selling. So don't put your course name or your program name on there. What you want people to see is how it's relevant to them. So when they land there, that's the first thing that's going to grab their attention. So I've just got a tip here for Beck to perhaps refine the name of this headline so it's even more specific. So instead of saying ready to optimize your fertility naturally, I've got two suggestions here. Number one is want to boost fertility naturally. So using the word boost is perhaps more convincing and more impactful than optimize. Or second thing is if you want to use the word optimize, it could be want to optimize your chances of conceiving naturally or want to optimize your chances of getting pregnant naturally. So it's even clearer, okay, more compelling as well so they can identify themselves with that. Now, the second part of this hero section is where people would usually put their picture. So as you can see here, Beck's hero section is full of screenshots of wins or testimonials that clients have sent her. Testimonials are great for social proof, but they don't belong in the hero section. It's almost, if I can be honest, coming in here, it seems a little bit too overwhelming for me. There's a lot to look at. And you don't want people to have that feeling when they land on your page, there's so much to look at and then they click away. So you want it to have that grabbing headline, nice and clear, and then a picture. A simple picture is fine. Could be of you, could be of whoever you're trying to speak to. Maybe if you're trying to help couples conceive, so a picture of a male and female. That is fine. All right. So removing those testimonials and putting it in another section will be much more effective for you. Now, with this hero section, Beck's picture is actually cut off a little bit. I mean, as you scroll, it comes up. So it's what we call a scrolling screen image. The issue with this is that because your face is getting cut off on the desktop view, you probably want to remove that scrolling effect and just have it sit as a static image. And make sure, again, that you're checking it on the mobile view. At the moment, as you can see on the mobile, it's kind of the testimonials and wins are getting cut off on the side. So just make sure that it's scaled to fit the page. Now, moving on to section 2. So this is basically when you start to highlight the problems that your ideal clients face. So Beck has done a really good job here speaking to helping her ideal clients recognize that there's more to it, to falling pregnant than just having sex or doing IVF. There's more things that they can do. And she even said if you're trying for the first time or again after a loss, so she also targets couples who have suffered a miscarriage, then you need to know that 9 in 10 women of reproductive age are not meeting their nutrient requirements. So she's calling out things that they may not be aware of. And it's speaking to the fatigue, the inflammation, the suboptimal egg quality, and delays. So it's calling out the problems and then what they've tried. So perhaps you've tried la-di-da. So she's listed all of that out. And what this section is intended to do is to connect with her ideal client's pain point. So you want the reader to know, she knows what it's like with this problem. She understands me. It's almost like she's a fly on the wall and she can hear what I talk about, what I think, and it's relevant, right? So you need to make sure you do your research, nail the language, the words that your ideal clients use to describe their challenges. So moving on to this part here, which still belongs to part 2, which is highlighting the problem. She's saying that the truth is trying for a baby is more than sex. It starts with your diet and lifestyle 3 months ago. So she's helping them to recognize here and creating awareness that they need to start earlier. It doesn't just happen instantly. So that's a really powerful statement. She's done those sections very well. Now, just a little note here. I do find that the darker emerald green doesn't quite show up very well against the pink background, especially if we're looking at it on the mobile. I feel like it doesn't quite stand out. So perhaps changing that to like a black font or something, you can certainly play around with that and see what suits better. All right, and then moving on to the next section. So next section is what we call introduce the offer. So this is where after you've spoken about the pain points and their desires, then you start to introduce the solution, which is the offer and what you're trying to sell. So right here, she said, it's got the mock-up image of a program and an 8-week program. So it goes on about what her program is about. So my suggestion here is just saying instead of introducing ... and then the program name, because here we don't have the program name. We don't know what your program is called. So you want to put prep your body for baby program. So making sure it stands out and it's big in this section. And then your mock-up here is great. Having a mock-up is so key. All right. And one thing I say to my clients is that because this is an online course or program that people are purchasing, they can't feel it. They can't touch it in a sense. So you want to convey the benefits of your program in a very tangible way. So using these digital mock-ups with the laptop, the iPad, with the paper, with the computer, desktop view, that helps them to see what they're getting inside the program. And this is, again, something that we give our clients so they don't have to go and reinvent the wheel and go find these things. You can easily get these onto your sales page. So yeah, first thing is making sure the program name is up there. And then the call to action here is secure your spot. Are they securing a spot or are they buying a course or program? So you can switch up the language, right? Secure your spot is fine. You can use yes, sign me up, or yes, I want access, or teach me how. So changing up the call to action just to make it more fun. Now you can see on here just a little tip with your call to action buttons on your sales page, or any pages really, is you want to pick a color that stands out. You don't want a very light color because then it will blend in with the rest of the text. You want it to be strong and you want it to stand out. So Beck's case, she's got the green, that's great. And then she's got the text there. One tip is I do find that this call to action button all throughout your pages is a little small. I would suggest making it bigger so it stands out more. And now let's switch over to the mobile view, because you can see this section on her mobile actually isn't showing up very well. So we've got you need being very small, which I suggested changing to introducing. And then you have your program name in bold. And then there's quite a decent gap in between the mock-up to the text. And then between the paragraph where it says naturally or via IVF, and then onto the next paragraph, this program will take you feeling overwhelmed and not knowing. I think there are some grammar mistakes there to correct, but that section in between there is actually quite big. So you definitely want to check your mobile and make sure that they're not spaced out too far. I mean, to the general person, it probably doesn't matter, but then if you're scrolling a while to get through a section, it doesn't look very professional. So just correct that. And then the call to action text, secure your spot on the mobile view, is actually kind of a little bit too low. So you might just want to adjust that and perhaps increase the spacing between the text and to your call to action button there. All right. That is actually part one. The introduction section then goes on, prep your body. So that's a logo for the program. And then it goes on talking about what the program is and the benefits. Again, switching back to the mobile view, if you look at the image, it looks beautiful. The logo is over it, but unfortunately, because of the similarity in the color tone, the logo is not standing out as well against the picture. So you want to perhaps change the color of the logo for the mobile view. All right. And I noticed that this chunk of text here is actually not coming up on the mobile view. So you definitely want to check that, because at the present, it's just looking like a big gap in between. And then you've got start today, which is tiny. I would say try and bold it and make it bigger. All right, so back to the desktop view. The next section here is section 4. So this is what we call look into the future section. So you're speaking to where they could be at once they have their problem fixed. So you want to speak to their desires, the results that they want to achieve, and the outcomes. So it could be about their signs and symptoms that they experience on a day-to-day basis, could be about changes in their health outcomes or how they feel. So you want to be as specific as possible. So on here, again, Beck has done a really good job with her copy, speaking to the specific things that they want to achieve. So on the desktop view, that looks really good. I would say just this image here, there's a tiny little bit of white space. If I'm being really specific, I would say try and centralize the image there so she's in the middle and it's not too much of a white gap there. But otherwise, on the mobile view, most things are fine. I would just say with the call to action button, it's a little close to the paragraph on top, so just increase the gap there. All right, now moving on to the next section. So she goes on to introduce herself, which I do think is a little too early. So in our sales page anatomy guide, we tell our clients once you have introduced your offer, you've spoken to the future, you actually then want to insert some testimonials and results to speak to the benefits of your program or showcase how your program has helped people. Now, as a dietitian, as a health professional, you need to do this in a very ethical way, meaning that you don't want to guarantee, because we can't make any guarantees to if someone will fall pregnant. So you just want to make sure that the language that you're using, it's tangible, it's realistic, and we're not promising something that we can't guarantee. Especially if you're an accredited practicing dietitian based in Australia, you do have to be careful about using testimonials to promote your program. It can't guarantee any clinical outcomes or a specific result that cannot otherwise be applied to other one, because you don't want everyone to think that oh, if I work in a program, I'm going to get the exact same results, because everyone's health profile is so different. So just a note of caution there about using testimonials for promoting your program. And now let's move on to Beck's introduction of herself. So she said, hey, I'm Beck. And she shares a fun fact about how she loves her morning coffee. She comes from a family of chefs, and then what she discovered. So it's a very succinct way of telling her story, which I love. It's a fun picture. Again, if you can, maybe just centralize the image a little bit so there's not much white space there. And what can be really helpful is I noticed on Beck's homepage that she's got all these different places that she's been featured in. So I would suggest adding it to this section here just below her introduction to boost credibility. So people know who she is, that she's an incredible expert. Any professional logos or affiliations that you have, you can pop it in this section here as well. So this here is her testimonials from her clients. So like I said, move it to above this section here. And then the next section she has is what makes prep your body for baby different. So this is a very important section because it helps to tackle any objections that your ideal clients may have. Perhaps they might be coming from that perspective of, oh, I've tried this so many times already. I've done what I can. I follow what my doctor told me, but it's still not getting me any result. How do I know your program is different? So this section here is actually meant to tackle any objections that they might have, speak to their hesitations, and help them to feel safe about taking this next step. So looking at what Beck has, she says fertility your way, a fertility framework tailored to you. So then she goes on to explain what it is. Looking at her mobile view, that looks good. Again, I think the spacing in between sections is a little too big, so look at improving that. And then the second part here is still speaking to the difference. So I love how she's put it all together and having the call to actions at the bottom of each one. Again, just have a look at the mobile view back and increase the spacing between sections. So one thing I'll mention here that is more specific for you, Beck, is that you said design for plant-based eaters, which I think is such an important distinction between what you offer to other programs out there. But this is kind of the first time I've seen this in your sales page. And if this is a really important fact, it's what makes your program unique and different, and the recipes that you provide is for plant-based eaters, you actually want to pull it up and talk about it much earlier on. If not at the top, then somewhere around when you introduce your program, because you want to attract the right people. You don't want someone to scroll, get all the way to this part and go, it's for plant-based eaters, I'm not. And then you lose them. So you want to call out these key characteristics right from the beginning. All right, now moving on to the next section, tried and tested. So again, check the mobile view. The gap there is quite big. And then you've got a testimonial section at the end there. So that's all good. And then you've got what you get access to inside the program, which is a little bit too late to introduce that. So you want to have what you get around the time where you start talking about your program. So here, this section here, after you've introduced your program, before you talk about the results, you want to put that in here in this section. So we're going from introducing your program, here's what you'll get, and then the benefits, and then the results and testimonials before you introduce yourself. Okay, so let's look at what you get. So she's got all those elements there. Great. And then she starts talking about the program steps. So she's got a 4-step roadmap. So you could say the 4-step roadmap to boosting your fertility. So just getting more specific into what you cover. So she's organized that very neatly. So it's got a plus sign, which you can then expand. I love how you've got those images there and the text. So let's have a look and see how it appears on the mobile view, because again, you don't want it to be too text heavy. So looking at it, there's quite a bit shown on the text, but it's not too bad. Like you can bold things, you can change the color of fonts just to make it stand out. Otherwise, you can break it up into 2 chunks and go image, text kind of thing to make it easier to read. All right, so that brings it through and summarizes it very neatly, and we go through the 4 different steps. And then this one here, which I realize is your bonuses. So you want to make it clear that these are the bonuses you'll also get. It's just a little wordy, so you can say extra bonuses you get. And so she's got a fertility supplement plan, plant-based fertility meal plan, and then supplements as well. So all these are bonuses that they get. What would be really helpful is adding at the end of this is add to this section the total value of what someone is getting, because you've gone through all the different parts or features of your program. You want to show them what's the total value. You want to do that especially before you get into the pricing section, which is the next section here. So with this section, you want to say your investment. So add a heading there so people know that this is the pricing and it's investment. It's not a fee. It's not an expense. So you're kind of using little wording here that can make a big difference to how they take the pricing. So you've got $12.99 paid in full to get 8 weeks of support with fortnightly coaching calls and all that. So she's got pricing in AUD, instant access payment plans available. But what I have gotten a little bit confused with reading this is then you have your VIP, which to me, VIP sounds more high end. So it's kind of like an extra. You're going to get all these things extra. It's a premium offer. But what surprised me is the pricing. So it's $9.99. So how can it be cheaper? Is this an add-on? So you probably need to be clearer there to show them. And then what was a little bit confusing is when you click on this, that goes straight to the checkout page, which is over here so people can buy directly. I'll come back to this and give you some feedback on the checkout page. And then this one here for the VIP option, they are applying and they are going to your Calendly page to book a call. So this is going to be a little distracting and confusing for people because first of all, we need to know what's the difference. So here it says take your fertility to the next level with one-on-one support, includes all these analysis, supplement plan, and all that. I can't quite tell clearly what the differences are. So it might be better if you have them side by side, compare all the things that they're going to get and what the differences are. So you can list them out in bullet point, what it includes, what it doesn't include, just to make it super clear and easy for people to understand. Because if they're confused, it'll create more overwhelm. If someone's confused, they won't buy. So you want to make it super specific. And here you've got apply, which kind of then takes them down a different path. I think what will be much more effective is having just the pay for this popular option and then a payment plan option. So this could be something else that you add on. I'm not quite sure where it goes. So I need to understand a little bit more about how it fits into your offering. But having those 2 options, that is usually good enough. If you do have a third option, you want to make it clear what it's for. So let's take a quick look whilst we're at it, looking at Beck's checkout page. She hosts a program and uses her Kajabi for the website. So you can see on here the checkout page, that is what Kajabi checkout pages look like. You can add information about what they're getting and then the bonuses. And then they make payment here. Now, a few things that I want to highlight here. First of all, someone is coming to the checkout page from your sales page, which you have already provided a lot of information. So it's almost quite repetitive coming in here, looking through the same information. Again, it's a lot to scroll through. And if you look at it from the mobile views, actually, you got to scroll through a chunk of text before you get to the checkout form. Again, that is just another barrier that can make it harder for people to come to a decision whether or not to buy. So let's just make it simple, keep the description of what they're getting to the point and very easy to digest. And then the testimonials that you've got, it's here, which is fine to include, have that right at the bottom. And then in very small text, you've got the payment plan option. So that's kind of hidden. What I would suggest back is, first of all, on Kajabi, you can switch the checkout form, which is this section here, and put it right on top. So when someone clicks from your sales page, it goes straight to payment. They don't need to read too much, like I said. And secondly, if there is a payment plan option, you can insert it in the description, but make it bigger than what you currently have. Okay, so that's the payment, and then you've got the checkout form. Now, because we want to reduce any friction, you need to think about what you are asking, basically what sort of information you really need, and remove any unnecessary information that might be just too private. For example, do you really need to know the address? If you don't, you can remove that section, and then all these are fine. You want them to tick the terms and conditions to make sure they've understood that before they purchase. And this is actually really important. If you're selling an online course, you need to have a terms of sale or terms of purchase. So I talked about all these different policies and legal contracts that you need to have in place in early episode. I'm going to link it below so that you can go and have a look. That's an episode which Chantel, who is a lawyer, and we talk about what you need to have to sell online courses and memberships versus what you need to have if you're selling a high-end, high-ticket program, because they are different in terms of your level of involvement as a practitioner. So that's just a little note there about the T's and C's, so make sure it's on there and it's clear. All right, so next, moving on to, actually, I've just noted whilst we're at it here, the text is overlapping, so Beck, you might want to fix that. All right. So next up, we move on to the objection tackling section. So this section is key because you want to almost preempt what your ideal clients are thinking in their mind that could stop them from purchasing. They might have all these hesitations, right? So back on here, it's saying, but Beck, I'm too busy for another program. So she's speaking to the time factor, which is a big one. She's talking about her clients who have joined a program. What are some of their life situation? You want people to basically identify themselves with this challenge here. And then the next one is I already eat healthy. How would this help me? So it kind of speaks to that. How is this different to what I'm already eating, which is great. And then you've got the testimonials section. And then you've got one here that is basically, is this right for you? Again, this section is really key because it helps people to recognize whether this program is the right fit for them. So then it says here, all these bullet points, the text here is quite small. So Beck, I would encourage you to increase the font size of those things. I'm actually just looking on your mobile view at the moment, and this section is hidden from the mobile view, which I think is so key to have. So you might just want to have a look and make sure it's included in the mobile view as well. It's kind of hidden in between those two testimonials section on the mobile view. Next part here is the money back guarantee. So it's a controversial thing whether or not to offer money back guarantee, because on one hand, some people might be nervous about being taken advantage of. What if people buy, they download everything and then they ask for the money back? But on the flip side, you might have another school of thought of people thinking that this could be really helpful to help people feel safe. They come join and realize that it's not for them. They can be safe about making that decision because they can get their way out. So it depends on you whether or not you want to include a money back guarantee. If you do include it, just make it super clear what are the terms or requirements to get a refund, right? So on here, it says that all you have to do is to watch the lessons, attend the calls, and complete the step. If you can't identify any changes, I'll give you money back. You just have to request for a refund within 30 days. So it's clear for people and you're not going to be then taken advantage of. And just one little note here, Sound Good is centralized, so it just needs to go to the left. And on the mobile view, it is also centralized as well for your call to action button. So just want to move that to the side to align it with everything else. And as you can see here on the desktop version, this element here seems to be a mistake. So you probably want to take that out or just move it lower. I know these waves are tricky to align. I've got them on my website as well. So just want to look at that. And then to the next section is kind of almost a closing statement now. To the health conscious and ambitious woman who want to grow, blah, blah. So this is basically almost at the end. You're kind of recapping again, making sure that they know it's for them. It's speaking to the desires. This picture is probably not the right one, or maybe you just need to move the text up here. There is quite a lot of spacing in between. This ready to take control of your fertility. I can't wait to meet you and support you should really be the closing statement. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit and talk about what happens at the end you want that to go to the end to kind of call out that bold statement for you at the end, and then having a call to action button here, because you don't want someone to scroll through your FAQ and they have to scroll all the way back up to this section to get that. Again, there's a little kind of gap here, so you might just want to look at that and fix it. All right, so after this section here, I think really that should go to the end. But before we get to the FAQ, what you want to do is recap the offer, because we've gone through a whole heap of information. They might kind of forget what they're getting. So you want to do an offer recap saying, here's exactly what you'll get. Once again, as a recap, just summarize it and have the mock up there so they remember. And then you have your FAQ to tackle again any questions that might not be covered in your program, any objections they might have. You don't want to have too many, so think about key questions that people ask you on discovery calls or in your DMs when they inquire about your program. You can put it here as well. And then, like I said, having that bold closing section, which is this one, with the call to action at the end. And then if you have that urgency deadline for you back, you're closing those bonuses on March 24th. So again, you want to have the countdown timer right at the bottom section, so people are reminded, oh, I've got a deadline to make a decision. All right, so I hope that this episode here has been valuable for you, that you've been able to take heaps of notes as I went through Rebecca's sales page audit. Once again, if you found this episode helpful, I appreciate if you can share it with someone you know this would help. Or if you want to see more episodes like this, some really practical, tangible episodes, then make sure you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave me a review and let me know what has been most helpful for you and what you love to see more of. Or if you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure you go to the bottom, the comment section, and leave me a comment if you have any questions about certain things I've talked about, or if there are certain topics you want to see more of. Make sure you let me know in the comment section as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'll see you back here next week.